Lovely to see you all. Greetings from the unceded territories of the Lekwungen peoples here on the south end of Vancouver Island, which is near Victoria, for those of you who know this area. So here in the spring, we've got all the kind of wonderful bits of nature coming back. The garter snakes are coming out of their holes, and the hummingbirds are back, and the migratory kestrels are coming back. It's gorgeous here. So I feel very privileged and very lucky to be on this island. And it's nice to see so many faces. As David named you last week, you're the new bodhisattvas, I guess, already caring and committed to action. And so that in itself, I think, is an amazing way for us to spend an hour or so today, hour and a half, in the company of people who care about the world that we're in. So I just want to thank you for that gift, bringing that to us. And then in terms of what we're going to do today, I'm aiming to talk for about 20 minutes. Those of you who've heard me talk before know that my 20 minutes might last a week and a half, but I will try to keep it at 20 minutes. And in terms of the scope, like last week when we had that amazing talk from David, this really inspiring talk at quite a grand level, a kind of call to action, call to not knowing and bearing witness and acting with compassion, this inspiring and important call, for which I'm really grateful. And I think that was a really grand vision, which I appreciate. And today I want to be much smaller. I don't know about you, but for me, grand scales sometimes leave me feeling quite small and quite powerless. And so even when I'm inspired to act, it can sometimes just feel like it's too much, it's too big. And in feeling that way, I can sometimes feel a kind of disconnection from things. Like being overwhelmed, I might want to dissociate myself or something. And as I think we all know in this group, that feeling separate, feeling disconnected, feeling fractured is another way of saying that I don't feel whole, don't feel complete. And healing, as I'm sure you know, literally means to make whole, make complete. So what I'm interested in today is like this possibility of finding healing in the small things of our everyday life. And especially when we encounter what I like to call the wounds of the earth on our doorsteps. So I guess I'm inspired for this by that amazing koan in the Book of Equanimity. Some of you will know this already. I think it's case number 4, if you're somebody who really desperately wants to look it up. And this koan sees the Buddha walking along with some disciples, and at some like ostensibly random moment, he stops and remarks, "This would be a great place for a temple." At which point, one of his followers, Indra, amazing to have Indra as your follower, right? So Indra takes up a single blade of grass, stoops and presses it into the earth right then and there, answering, "And so the temple is erected." So inspiring. So right here, right now, this is our sacred space. Wherever we are, look around your room. That room, that's a sacred space. So we might also be in the ashes of a forest fire. We might also be in the dust of a clear cut. We might also be sitting in poisoned grounds of toxic dumps or landfills. We might be sitting with a diseased tree in our garden. We might be sitting with a dead seagull by the side of the road. And that's where we plant that single blade of grass, right there. So in today's session, I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories about those places where you are, where you might plant that blade of grass. It's going to be a really important part of today, I think. But first, I thought I might share a couple of stories with you. That's okay, just to kind of kick us off and maybe offer a bit of inspiration for reflection in some smaller groups. So one of the things I really love about many spiritual traditions is that they're full of amazing stories. Storytelling is such an important part of the spiritual life, I think. And in Buddhism, we're like embarrassed by our riches about these things, I think. But this sort of treasure trove of amazing stories. And where I want to go today is into the Jataka tales a little bit. So the Jataka tales, some of you know these, I'm sure. If you don't, the Jataka tales are the stories of the Buddha's lives before he became the Buddha. So in those lives, he's just as likely to have been, I know, a snake or a bird or a rabbit as a priest or a beggar or a prince. Some of these stories are right back at the origins of Buddhism in the Pali Canon, and some of them have kind of filtered into the tradition in that wonderfully organic, developmental way that Buddhism has as it travels around the world. So we get lots of folk stories, particularly from South and Southeast Asia. And I think I'm going to start with one. It's a rather contestable Jataka. It's like a Jataka-like story, I think. It's lovely, made popular by Rafe Martin, who some of you will have come across, the American writer and Buddhist practitioner. And I confess that I've searched for it in the canon and not been able to find it, but it does have this kind of this wonderful feel of a Jataka story. And I don't think in the end it really matters if it's in the canon or not, right? So let me tell you the story in outline at least. So this is the story. It's the story of a parrot. And at the beginning of this story, the parrot is the Buddha in his previous life. And he's a gray parrot. So he's a parrot without color. He's unexceptional and plain. And he lives in a forest. And he loves the forest. One day, as he is living in this forest, he's flying above the forest, he sees just on the horizon, smoke is rising. The forest is beginning to burn. It's on fire. So the parrot, by virtue of being this flying animal, this tiny little flying animal, this gray, unexceptional flying animal, sees the fire and he becomes scared and worried. So he flies around over the top of the forest, warning the other animals, you've got to get out, you've got to get to the river, the forest is on fire, leave. And they don't. Either they can't or they won't. Maybe they don't understand what he's saying. Whatever's the case, they all stay there. And this parrot's like, those animals are going to die. So in despair, by the river, safe, this parrot is like, what can I do? So rather than doing nothing, letting everybody die, the parrot plunges into the water, into the river, flies back to the forest and drips water into the inferno from its feathers. Back and forth, one little droplet of water at a time, just dropping into that inferno. And the parrot has no hope, right, that this will extinguish the forest fire, but an absolute devotion to performing this action. It's the right thing to do. This is an act of love. And in the story, we have this twist at the end that I think today might feel a bit like a kind of Disney twist. We'll come back to it in a little while. But the Disney twist is something like a watching God is so moved by the parrot's effortfulness that the God transforms into a giant eagle and in honor of the parrot's efforts, does the same action, plunges into the water of the river and then flies over the forest and like can send immense wave of water that puts out the whole fire. And this water, as it falls onto the parrot's feathers, transforms it into the multicolored, beautiful bird that we know today. So as I said, I'm not sure that that's a canonical Jataka tale, but it doesn't seem to matter. Right? There are two canonical Jataka stories that seem to do similar things. And I just want to tell you those two briefly as well before we start to talk a little bit together. So one of these is Sinhalese Jataka from the Jataka Kata. It's the Kalandaka Jataka. Kalandaka just means squirrel. It's a Jataka story about a squirrel. So in this story, the Bodhisattva is a squirrel. And it's a mother squirrel. It's got all its babies in a nest in the forest. And what happens is one day it starts to rain. It's raining and raining. It's raining really hard, so hard, heavy rains and floods and gales. And the trees are waving around and they're starting to flood from the bottom. And the nest falls out of the tree into the flood water and is swept out into the ocean. And the mother squirrel is sitting there on top of the tree and can see the nest with her babies like floating off into the ocean. And so just like that parrot, this squirrel is kind of gripped with a kind of despair, the hopelessness. The size of this problem is too much. The cost of the problem is too much, the loss of her babies. So what does the squirrel do? The squirrel climbs down the tree, dips her tail into the ocean, soaks up a bit of water, and then rushes off to the mainland to wring out her tail in an attempt to gradually drain the ocean so her babies will live. And she does this every day, constantly every day for 7 days. At this time, we get another god. A god comes in feeling sorry for the squirrel. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What you're doing, your way of solving this problem is entirely pointless and futile. It's not going to work. This is a hopeless activity. You're wasting your time. And the squirrel is so mad, right? I don't know if you've seen a mad squirrel, but they're pretty scary. So this squirrel gets really mad and yells at the god and tells him that he's a disgrace. This god should just leave and never come back. Like, is it really the case that a god of all things should only exert effort when challenges are easy? Is it the case that a god of all things should only act when the outcome is assured? So this god is shamed by the squirrel and in the end intervenes, right, to save the baby. So again, I don't think the purpose of that story, it doesn't seem to be to teach us that our individual efforts in the face of global challenges are going to be rewarded by some kind of god, right? I don't think that's the point here at all. But rather the purpose seems to be to show us that we really admire, we love that squirrel. That parrot inspires us. We never really know how things will turn out in the future. So we have no reason not to do everything we can right now to save those baby squirrels, plant that single blade of grass. So what would it be like if stories like that are really just about forging communities of squirrels, communities of parrots, right? The purpose, I think, of stories like that is indeed to bring people together, to be inspired to take those small actions together on our own doorsteps. So I think, indulge me one more. The most famous Jataka on this theme is about a baby quail. This is the Vataka Jataka, I think it's called. And this one has all of the kind of classical features of a Jataka story, if you're interested in that stuff. So it begins with a line of verse taken from the conclusion of the story. And the earliest Jataka stories, the Pali Jataka stories, were probably written entirely in verse. So this story begins, I can quote, with wings that fly not, feet that walk not yet, forsaken by my parents, here I lie. Do you want that again? With wings that fly not, feet that walk not yet, forsaken by my parents, here I lie. So that's the beginning. And the text then gives us a scene in the present day. So the present day here is the present day of the Buddha. So it's not today, but it might as well be. So it's usually a difficult situation that, the followers of the Buddha have come to the Buddha, they're struggling with something, they're like, Buddha, we need some advice. Please help us. So this is what we're dealing with right now. How should we live in the face of it? And then the story that follows, the Jataka story that follows, is the Buddha's advice. So in the case of the Vataka Jataka, the present situation is an encroaching fire. So you've got to imagine here that the Buddha is there sitting in a garden with his followers. His followers have come and they've gone and said, yo, Buddha, the world's on fire. Look, if you look over there, the fire is it's getting closer and closer. It's going to consume us. What do we do? And in response to this, the Buddha gives a teaching about this quail. Like, there's nothing we can do to extinguish the fire. How do we live in the face of this fire? I don't know if that sounds like a familiar situation to you. It sounds familiar to me. So let me give you the Buddha's words when he is asked for advice. Yeah. Once upon a time, in this self-same spot in Magadha, it was as a quail that the Bodhisattva came to life once more. The father and the mother of the Bodhisattva were as frightened as the others and flew away, forsaking the Bodhisattva. Lying there in the nest, oh, that's not quite right. That's got corrupted. Give me 1 second to find the correct version of this. Okay. Once upon a time, I start again. In the self-same spot in Magadha, it was as a quail that the Bodhisattva came to life. Breaking his way out of the shell of the egg in which he was born, he became a young quail, about as big as a large bull. And his parents kept him lying in the nest while they fed him with food which they brought in their beaks. In himself, he had not yet the strength either to spread his wings and fly through the air, nor even to lift his feet and walk upon the ground. Year after year, that spot was always ravaged by a jungle fire. And it was just at this time that the flames swept down on it with mighty roaring. The flocks of birds darting from their several nests were seized with the fear of death and flew away shrieking. The father and the mother of the Bodhisattva were just as frightened as the others, and they too flew away, forsaking the Bodhisattva. Lying there in the nest, the Bodhisattva stretched forth his neck, and seeing the flames spreading towards him, he thought to himself, had I the power to put forth my wings and fly, I would wing my way hence to safety. Or if I could move my legs and walk, I would escape elsewhere afoot. Moreover, my parents, seized with the fear of death, are fled away to save themselves, leaving me here quite alone in the world. I am without protector. I am without helper. What then shall I do this day? So some of us might recognize that as a situation. And what an important question. What should we do this day? Well, the quail offers us some advice. The quail reflects that he needs to find what he calls an act of truth in the face of the fire. He says that in this world there exists the efficacy of goodness, the efficacy of truth. It says those who are filled with truth and compassion and mercy and patience, those whose love embraces all creatures, touched by the principle of nature, by an act of faith, he says, I will make the flames go back, saving both myself and the other birds. So, tiny little quail, unable to fly, unable to walk, abandoned by his family, surrounded by flames. I will make the flames go back. We don't really know what he does. The story doesn't tell us what his act of faith is, his act of truth. Only that it's an act empowered by truth, compassion, mercy, patience. It's empowered by love for all creatures alike. So the Jataka ends in verse as it began, with wings that fly not, feet that walk not yet, forsaken by my parents, here I lie. I wrought my act of truth, and therewithal the sheet of blazing fire left 16 lengths unscathed, like flames by water met and quenched. I wrought my act of truth, and therewithal the sheet of blazing fire left 16 lengths unscathed, like flames by water met and quenched. So this story gives us, this is the Buddha's advice, right? When you're surrounded by flames and there's nothing you can do about it, find your act of truth. This tiny little quail, all alone, unable to walk, unable to fly, feeling utterly unempowered, completely alone, separate, surrounded by the flames of the world, without hope, without a plan, finds in that place at that time, like Indra with his single blade of grass, a simple, direct act of truth that saves him and everyone around him. So this is my question for you, as hopefully we go into some breakout groups here. What is your act of truth? And we can break this down into some sub-questions. What is on fire where you are today? And that could be local situations and events and circumstances that feel like wounded earth. So what is on fire where you are today? How can you respond to those wounds with honesty and wholeness? And where do you plant your single blade of grass? And I think all your answers to those, your responses to those are going to be your answer to this question. What is your act of truth? So if you're willing to share on this, which I think would be wonderful for us all, I can put those prompts into the chat, and hopefully Jeff can sort us into breakout groups. Lovely. So thank you for not running away when we went into breakout rooms. I know some people did, and that's understandable too. What I'd really like to do to take us towards the end of today's session is see if we can bring in those little communities that we've just been in into a bigger one. So start to kind of grow something here between us. So it'd be really nice if somebody from maybe each of those breakout rooms wants to offer something into the group as a whole. Maybe a response to the question about the act of truth, maybe something else that came up. We can be organic in Eco Dharma. Does anyone have anything they want to offer? Anything they want to say or reflect?
I'm happy to jump in here, Chris.
Go for it, Martin.
So we had a small group of 5 and a very engaging conversation. And what stood out for me as I was listening was just the little blades of actions and truth. So living simply. There was a theme of that being part of our conversation, but the other theme was also offering and maintaining connection with our nature. So looking for opportunities for community building where we're connecting with nature, we're immersed with nature. And that can be in school settings, it can be in local park settings. One person was talking about support and application to preserve a park in their local setting. And then the other is creating community. And this sort of came up last week, just a sort of community of acceptance and belonging. And this is in the context of inclusiveness and diversity and gender diversity in a university setting. So there was this wonderful sharing to hear the elements of living simply, maintaining connection with nature, and building community. And the other essence was that there was, and this speaks to David, it's a comment last week. I remember, like, doing acts of compassion, but sort of something that naturally comes joyful. So doing things that we naturally find enjoyable doing. That really stayed with me from last week as a point of truth. There might be others who may want to add to that, but it's a lovely conversation.
That's beautiful, Martin. Thank you. I particularly like the appeal to connection, like exploring all the different ways to forge connections. And the way that that connects to something like maybe othering, right? And diversity. And I remember Bernie, of course, used to talk about being diversity. This need to be diversity to encourage or enable those connections across all kinds of divides. Thank you, Martin. Romulo.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everybody. I just want to briefly share something that I have in my heart. One never knows exactly the extent of what we do, how is it going to impact, and what is it going to create in terms of a ripple effect. And Chris, I'm sorry if I'm going to embarrass you, but 8 years ago, I had my first introduction to mindfulness class online, where a young man called Chris Gutter Jones had the audacity of putting together this comprehensive program on what mindfulness is. And at that time, I had no idea what it was. And the doors and the windows and everything that's opened in my life as a result of that, how that evolved into my involvement with the Soto-Zen group, how that evolved into me finishing the program with Jack and Tara Bragdon, mindfulness meditation certification, how it has helped me discover the sense makers, how it's shaped everything that I've done for the last 8 years in such a significant way, is a testament that small little actions can go a very far way in terms of their rippling effects. But we don't know exactly where they went. So I just want to do this because I have such deep gratitude for this event, and in particular, have such deep connection and gratitude towards Chris, which I never will thank enough for opening that door for me. So I just wanted to share that as a way of showing gratitude to all of you, and to particularly to Chris.
Thank you, Romulo. You're right that it's embarrassing, so it makes me want to make a joke about how I just feel like you're blaming me for everything that's gone wrong in your life for the last few years. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. A video.
Hello, everybody. So we were 5 in our group, and for me, it was very beautiful because it seemed like each one of us represented a different color of the rainbow, which is life. For example, we started with Lumi telling us how she had the opportunity with her husband to take care of some wounded squirrels that just happened to have fallen off the nest. Trash, and all of us in this area are always looking for something that we can put in the waste basket, which is very nice. It's not so simple like that. And I mentioned right now, because of the horrible political situation, that I am starting now to get mobilized so that we can elect next year. We need grassroots in Brazil, so we get a re-election next year for a progressive president. And Trump is going to really try to avoid that. But so we have to start now going door to door and And Olga mentioned about how she became a planetary health activist. So all of us were highlighting, different aspects of our life. But of course, I think we all share all those different things in different parts of our day. So that's what I wanted to share with the group.
Thank you, video. one of the things I just want to pull out of that, because it connects quite nicely with something that happened in our little group, is the way in which a sense of sort of authentic and honest connection and attention to the suffering around us enables something like that act of truth, right, that the Quail had. And we had somebody in our group, and I'm not going to name people, somebody in our group who has been attending to homelessness, and doing simple things like preparing food and stacking shelves and things like this, in order that that sense of connection can be cultivated even in these really small ways. And that sense of connection is the healing, right? And so I really appreciated that in our group as well. And the additional attention, I thought this was very insightful from that person. This realization that that quality of attention they find easier to extend to other human beings than to other than human beings. And so a sort of this need for a kind of deliberate cultivation of that same quality of attention when we move it somewhere else into the natural world, say. So I thought that was very insightful from that person. Thank you. Jean, thank you for your patience.
Thank you. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate this community and having the small groups and being able to hear everyone's little blade of grass. You know, it's just maybe because we're more or less to some degree or other practitioners of some kind of mindfulness, and maybe it's easier to open our hearts, but you know, like, what is the point of holding back? Because here we are, and we have people who want to connect. So I just want to say that this has been really very meaningful, more than I do way too much online stuff, but this is really goes to the heart of things. And my personal work is about grief tending, and offering to others around grief. And I didn't think of it until your talk that, oh, that is the blade of grass that I offer. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Are you able to say something a bit more about grief and the natural world, maybe?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this is my teacher in this work is Frances Weller, who wrote a book called The Wild Edge of Sorrow, and also Joanna Macy. But the form, I've done a lot of grief retreats, co-facilitated with a small group of people. We've all been trained with Frances. So one of the gates of grief, he talks about 5 gates of grief, is grief for the world. And that can look many different ways. And it just seems really important to acknowledge that and not, you know, just try to keep it inside ourselves. Our hearts are breaking because of what's going on, and I told my group, I'm trying to say this more as a person of the older generation. Our generation has caused huge harm, and I am so sorry. And I think that needs to be spoken. Yeah.
Thank you, Jean. And isn't it wonderful that our hearts are breaking? Like, it's terrible that the circumstances are such, but it's wonderful that we love so much that it breaks our heart. Thank you for sharing, Jean. Kathleen, you had your hand up. You can't escape. Come back.
Okay, but with not risen hand again. Yeah, well, this connects pretty well, because maybe you will recognize one of the sentence that I'm gonna say, because I thought I'd make a little story of my experience of our small 6-person group. So I jotted down a couple of words of each of us. We're not saying names, but I'll just read them out, and maybe that gives a small story. Yeah, it is so important to say sorry to the younger generation. And maybe I can bring people to the mother of all waters, maybe one of them at a time. Let's not put down anger and despair, but use these feelings somehow. Why is it that living in peace together is out of normal? Trying to remain calm and kind and loving and helpful and respectful. Take your broken heart and make it into art. Make the decision to connect to one being, as small as it may be. Then all of Indra's net unfolds before your eyes. That was a bit from our group. Thank you.
It's beautiful, Kathleen. Does somebody else want to offer poetry created from their group? So I think one of the things that came up for us, if I can share a little bit more, one of our members talked about their sense of their perception of hierarchy in the world and how that changes how they behave towards the world and pay attention to it around them. So the sense of, we might think of it as anthropocentrism, right, with humans in the middle. But then even when they're attending to the natural world, like a hierarchy of trees that are really special trees, redwoods, I think they were. And then trees that seem less exceptional or less rare, and that they were sycamores, I think. So they kind of deserve a little bit less attention. And then you kind of go all the way down to, like, I was thinking of the weeds in the cracks in the concrete or something. They don't really deserve any attention at all. And the challenge that our inbuilt hierarchies present to us when we're trying to attend to the world in a kind of caring and compassionate way, it makes us make choices, right? It makes us have preferences and favorites. One of the things I then shared with our group is we do on the island here some bearing witness retreats that are like specifically designed to trouble those hierarchies. So we do bearing witness retreats into wounded areas of nature. So instead of going out into the beautiful bits of nature that we really like, right, the bits that are up at the top of our hierarchies, like the pristine lakes and the lush forests, we go and sit in the clear cuts, and we go and sit in the ashes after the forest fires, and we go and sit actually in like a toxic landfill just over there where nothing will grow anymore, on the understanding that by doing this, we're refusing to see those places as separate from us, refusing to like bracket it off. Like, I don't want to look at it, so I am disconnecting from it. And so our goal is healing in the sense of becoming whole, bringing it all in. And it's a really hard practice to go and sit in places you do not want to be, which I think is a really Zen peacemaker's move, right? Go and sit somewhere you would rather not be there at all, and attend to it with that kind of compassion and gentleness. So I just wanted to share that too. If anybody wants to go on one of those retreats, we'll sort it out. So before, I think we're going to give Olga and Ovidio a moment at the end here to talk about what's going to happen next week. But before we do that, does anyone want to offer any kind of closing words? Any final thoughts on this, on our encounter today? No? Okay.
Just to say, Chris, I just really enjoyed the storytelling that you brought to today's conversation. Just a really lovely way to enter this conversation through storytelling. So very much appreciate that, and we'll be holding those lovely stories that you've shared with us today. So thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the love. Thank you. So is it a good moment, Jeff, to hand this over to Olga and video in case they want us to do anything before next week? Let's do that.
I think so. And I'd like to just interject just for 1 minute here, if I could. In Zen Peacemakers, there is that third tenet, and taking action is something that, as far as the organization goes, we're really trying to focus on. And I don't want to divide the group here, but particularly for the Americans that are on this call, and I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but the alarm bells are ringing. And as it relates so many things, but we're here talking about the environment today. So let's keep it specific and not civil rights and not fascism. As it relates to the environment, they're coming for it. They are coming for it. And that's not hyperbolic. It might have been 10 years ago, but it's not hyperbolic today. And they're telling us what they're going to do. And they're showing us. There are hardly any park rangers left in Yosemite. I just want to encourage everybody to take action. And, we need to be peaceful. We need to be respectful. We need to let, as Peter Coyote said, when you go to a demonstration, wear the clothes that you wear to church. He's taking a page from the 50s and 60s civil rights movement. Be respectful. Be quiet. Let your signs speak for you. But it's time we really need to stand up, and this is happening, by the way. If the news is hard to watch, there is some encouragement in cities big and small all over the US. Thousands and thousands of people are coming out. And I think it's, I'm no prognosticator, but it feels to me like it's building. And we need to be effective, and our elected officials they don't need to fear us, but they need to know that they work for us. And this is not what we want. We don't want the controls, the regulations on water quality and air quality and waste and consumer products and food and everything else rolled back to the 1940s. We don't want that. I don't want that. I don't know about you. Anyway, I just want to encourage people, think creatively, get together with your neighbors, take action, let them know. I'm trying to email or voicemail my electeds every day. And they will tell you that it makes a difference when they hear from us. So thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. And I thought somebody's hand went up. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
I just I echo what you're saying, Jeff. Inspired by a little Zen demonstration in Eureka of two people that the media covered as a modest demonstration. I started a vigil for kindness and democracy here in Sacramento, and the non-attachment to outcome, but that this is just what we need to be doing, to be bearing witness to kindness. It is really contagious to see how people respond. What I originally meant to say before you said those things, Jeff, was that I just want to give thanks for this series. It's so crucial especially as we try to be activists, to have this place where we are with souls who want the good and who want interconnection. Everything around us is leading toward distancing and otherness. And this is really a wellspring of nourishment for me, and I'm sure for everyone who comes. And I just am very grateful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Maybe we should hand to Ovidio and Olga now.
Before we say anything about next week, I wanted to tell you, I lived in the United States for 5 years and a half, and I'm very thankful to what I learned in the United States. And I love the United States that is kind. And I hate the other part. But anyway, it's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is that I really trust that the United States people, I don't want to call you Americans because I'm Brazilian and I'm American too. I really trust that you will be able to face this moment. And I think we won the Vietnam War inside the United States also. That movement inside the United States was very important. So just to say that you have my confidence. That's great, Helen, to do a two people demonstration. It's wonderful. Greta Grunberg started as one person, and look what she has done. Oh yeah, about next week. I am Spanish, very enthused. Ovidio says that I talk too loud and I'm not very zen then, but anyway, I think you'll have a good time listening a little bit to me. I wish you could enter Google and ask for planetary health, because planetary health is a new movement. It has only 10 years. So it's something new that sounds very, how do you say it, when it's obvious, but it's not obvious at all because it's very complex and very important from my point of view as a physician and as a citizen of planet Earth. So read a little bit about planetary health, and I'll tell you a little bit about, I do a little summary, and then we'll go on with some questions that Ovidio has thought. Ovidio, what do you want to say?
Well, Olga and I were psychiatrists, therapists, so we encourage people to have difficult conversations and to deal with conflict. And it resonates with Jeff said about right now we need to be able to face conflict, and in a way we live in bubbles, in your family, your friends. But what I would like you next week is, what else can you be doing to raise the consciousness of people about the urgency of our time now, and maybe share what are you bringing this issue with your friends? Are you bringing these issues in your community? What are you doing? What are we all doing to do a little bit more, which is necessary at this very stressful time? So I would hope we could share in the small groups. We could talk about what else we can be doing in terms of raising consciousness and living in more sustainable ways.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jeff, do you want to sing us out or something?
Yes, but I want to get our good friend David Loy was so kind as to give us his time and his heart and his thoughts last time, and he's got some events coming up. David, if you'd like to unmute and go ahead, feel free to shamelessly promote.
Well, let me begin by apologizing. I'm not sure how much the chat is interfering with, people speaking, and pardon for that if it did. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Well, maybe I mentioned before that I'm going to be doing this Eco Dharma retreat in May at Mountain Cloud in Santa Fe, a whole month long at Eco Dharma residency. But also in July, uh, there are a number of Eco Dharma retreats in Europe. There's going to be a week in Ireland, Shannon. There's going to be something else in northern Italy, and also a short one near Barcelona in Spain. So if you know of someone who might be interested, you could let me know, and I can refer you, give you the proper connections. Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable about the plug, but I guess it's all Eco Dharma, right? So thank you for your support. Yeah.
It's all Eco Dharma. And David, how do we get a hold of you?
Through my website, davidloy.org.
Okay, good.
One word, email on that. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay, we are at the end of our time. Chris, that was wonderful. Thank you for all the thought and work and heart that you put into organizing that. I wasn't able to be in the breakout rooms. Somebody had to watch the door. But it was just really well done. So thank you so much for your gift to all of us. A reminder to everybody, I'm looking ahead. We are back together in 1 week, same time. And Ovidio and Olga will lead us next week. So have a good week until then, everybody.